Rena was new to the college. It had been only 2 weeks since she started her classes. She kept to herself most of the time. She didn't speak much in class or with other students. People thought she was shy or maybe quiet because she didn't know anyone. Every morning, Rena walked to class alone. She carried a small backpack and wore simple clothes. She liked to sit by the window in her classroom. She liked to watch the trees and birds outside. It made her feel calm. Mira and Tia were in the same economics class as Rena. Mira was friendly and kind. She smiled a lot and talked to many people. Tia was brave and always ready to help others. She was also curious about people she did not know. One day, during lunch break, Mira and Tia noticed Rena sitting alone on a bench outside the library. They decided to go and say hello. Mira had packed extra food, and she wanted to share it with Rena. "Hi," Mira said, smiling. "Would you like some sandwich?" Rena looked up, surprised. She wasn't used to people being kind to her. She nodded and took the sandwich. She said, "Thank you." Tia joined them. "We're Mira and Tia," she said cheerfully. "I'm Rena," she replied softly. They started talking about small things, like the weather and how hard the economics class was. Mira and Tia laughed and told funny stories about their first days at college. Rena smiled for the first time that day. It was a small smile, but it was real. After that, the three girls began to meet during lunch. Mira and Tia wanted Rena to feel welcome. They wanted to be her friends. But Rena was still quiet about her past. She never talked about where she came from or what she did before college. Sometimes, when she was alone, she looked far away, as if remembering something important. One afternoon, after class, Tia asked, "Rena, why are you so quiet? You never tell us much about yourself." Rena looked at her friends, then at the ground. "I just want to live peacefully now," she said. "That's all." Mira smiled gently. "We understand. You can trust us." Rena felt a little warmer inside. For the first time, she thought maybe she didn't have to hide anymore. The college campus was large and busy. There were many students from different places. Some were loud, some were quiet. Some liked sports, and some loved studying books. But almost everyone knew about the four boys who caused trouble now and then. Nomi, Rafi, Juno, and Samir were their names. They were known as troublemakers. They laughed loudly in the hallways, teased other students, and sometimes pushed their luck too far. Most students avoided them. But sometimes, the boys crossed the line. They made some girls feel scared, but no one dared to stand up to them. Rena had noticed them too. She never liked their loud voices or their bad manners. But she kept walking away, not wanting any trouble. Mira and Tia warned each other, "Stay away from those boys." One Friday afternoon, the three girls decided to go to the outdoor basketball court. Tia wanted to practice her shots. Mira brought some snacks, and Rena wanted to sit and sketch the trees around the court. They didn't expect the boys to come near. At first, Nomi and his friends just stood nearby, watching. Then, they started making fun of the girls. "Hey, girls, this is a boys' court," Nomi said with a smirk. Juno laughed. "What are you doing here?" "Drawing pictures." Rafi added, "Maybe they're scared to play." Tia stood up, looking at them without fear. "This court is for everyone. You don't own it?" The boys didn't like that answer. They stepped closer. Mira held Tia's hand. Let's just ignore them, she whispered. But Rena stood up too. She was quiet, but she wasn't afraid. Her eyes were calm and steady. Samir said, "Who's this quiet one? Think she can do something?" Rena didn't say a word. She just took a slow step forward. The boys laughed louder. 10 seconds, Rena said softly. Everyone froze for a moment. The four boys Nomi, Rafi, Juno, and Samir looked at Rena with surprise. No one had ever spoken to them like that before. The way she said 10 seconds was calm but serious. It made them stop laughing for a moment. Juno, the tallest of the group, stepped forward and asked, "Or what? What will you do after 10 seconds? Rena did not answer right away. She simply looked at each of them, her eyes steady and calm, like someone who had seen many difficult things before. Mira and Tia stood close to Rena, feeling nervous. Mira whispered, "Rena, maybe we should just leave. They don't seem like they want to listen." But Rena shook her head slowly. "No," she said quietly. "They need to understand. We don't want any trouble, but we won't run away either." Samir laughed loudly. You look like a small, quiet girl. What can you do? We're not afraid of you." Tia stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "You don't have to be afraid. We just want to be left alone." Rafi smirked and kicked the basketball across the court. "Then maybe you shouldn't come here." The tension grew. The boys circled around the girls, their voices getting louder, their movements more aggressive. Nomi grabbed Mira's snack bag and tossed it on the ground. Mira gasped and bent down to pick it up. Tia moved quickly to protect her, but Nomi pushed her back. "Hey! Stop it!" Mira shouted, her voice shaking. Rena took a deep breath. She stepped forward again, this time more firmly. "That's enough. Stop this now." But the boys only laughed more. Juno reached for the basketball. "You girls should just leave, or we'll make you leave." Suddenly, Rena's eyes narrowed. She put her hands down by her sides and looked at the boys without fear. 10 seconds, she said again. "You have 10 seconds to walk away. Or you will regret it." The boys stopped moving. They looked at each other, unsure what to do. None of them had expected her to be so serious. Tia whispered, "Rena, maybe we should go." Rena shook her head once more. "Not yet." Mira took a step closer to Rena, ready to support her friend no matter what would happen next. The sun was starting to set, casting long shadows on the court. The air was still, except for the quiet sound of leaves rustling in the wind. Nomi looked at the others. "Let's see what she's made of," he said, stepping closer to Rena. "Now," she said quietly. In a blink, Rena moved faster than any of them expected. She stepped to the side and gently pushed Nomi's arm, making him lose balance and fall onto the ground. He was not hurt, but he was surprised. Rafi jumped forward to grab her, but Rena turned quickly and tripped him gently, making him stumble. Again, no harm done. Samir tried to grab her wrist, but she caught his hand and twisted it lightly until he let go. He looked at her with wide eyes. Juno froze, unsure whether to come closer or run. The four boys stared at Rena, shocked by her quick, calm movements. She did not shout or hurt them. She only moved with control and strength. "You must leave now," Rena said softly but firmly. The boys scrambled to their feet and ran away from the court without another word. Mira, Tia, and Rena watched them go, breathing heavily. Tia smiled, relief showing on her face. That was amazing. How did you do that? Rena smiled back but said nothing. She picked up her sketchbook and walked toward the tree where she had been sitting earlier. Mira helped Mira gather the scattered snacks. Rena, Mira said gently, you're really strong. But you don't have to do that alone. We're here for you. Rena looked at her friends and felt a warm feeling inside. Thank you, she whispered. Later, when the campus was quieter, Rena sat with Mira and Tia near the library. Tia asked, were you trained to do that? It looked like you knew exactly what to do. Rena paused for a moment. Then she said quietly, I had training a long time ago. Before college. Mira and Tia looked at each other, surprised. You never told us, Mira said. Rena shook her head. I didn't want to. It is part of my past. Now, I just want to be a normal student. But you're special, Tia said with a smile. Rena smiled softly. Maybe. But I want peace. The girls sat quietly, watching the sky turn orange as the sun set behind the trees. They knew that this was only the beginning. Rena's past was a secret, but one day, they would understand everything. For now, they were just friends, and that was enough. The next few days after the basketball court incident were different for Rena, Mira, and Tia. The boys Nomi, Rafi, Juno, and Samir did not bother them anymore. But the tension on campus did not completely disappear. Rena noticed people whispering as she walked by. Some students stared at her with curiosity. Others with respect. No one openly challenged her now, but there was an invisible barrier between her and many others. Still, Rena tried to stay focused on her classes and friends. She spent more time with Mira and Tia, who became her closest companions. One morning, the three girls met for breakfast in the college cafeteria. The sunlight was warm through the big windows, and the smell of fresh coffee filled the air. Tia looked excited. I heard some of the students are planning a big event next week. It's called the Welcome Festival. It will be fun music, games, and food. Mira smiled. We should go together. It will be a chance to enjoy and maybe meet more people. Rena nodded. That sounds good. But even as they talked, Rena felt a little nervous. The idea of crowds and noise made her uneasy. Her past had taught her to be cautious. She was not used to such open happiness. Later that day, after classes, the girls walked to the library. They were talking about their plans when suddenly, from behind a corner, the four boys appeared again. Nomi's face was serious this time. Hey, girls, he said, voice low. Got a minute? Tia's eyes narrowed. What do you want? Samir stepped forward, blocking their way. We just want to talk. No trouble. Rena felt her heart beat faster. What do you want to talk about? Juno spoke quietly, look, we didn't mean to cause any real problems last week. Maybe we were wrong. Mira frowned. Why are you saying this now? Rafi smiled, but it was not friendly. Because we heard about you, Rena. About what you did. People are talking. Tia crossed her arms. That's enough. Just leave us alone. Nomi shook his head. We're not going anywhere yet. Rena took a step forward, keeping calm. If you want to talk, do it respectfully. Otherwise, walk away. The boys looked at each other, then at the three girls. The air was thick with tension again. Suddenly, Nomi laughed. All right, then. We have a question for you. Mira asked, "What question?" Juno smirked. "What's it like, being trained like that? You know, being strong and all." Rena's eyes darkened for a moment. "It's not something I talk about." Samir added, "Come on, just a little story. We're curious." Tia said, "You should respect her privacy." But the boys ignored her. Then Rafi suddenly reached out and pushed Tia's shoulder hard. Tia stumbled back, surprised. "Hey! Why did you do that?" "Because you don't tell us what we want to know," Rafi said, stepping closer. Mira tried to protect Tia. "Leave her alone." Nomi laughed again. "Looks like they're ready to fight back." "That's funny." Rena's calm disappeared for a moment. She stepped forward quickly and grabbed Rafi's arm. "Stop this," she said firmly. Rafi tried to pull away, but Rena held on tight. "Let go," he hissed. "Not until you leave us alone," Rena said quietly. Juno stepped closer to try to help Rafi, but Rena was faster. She twisted Rafi's arm just enough to make him lose balance. He let go and took a step back. Samir, seeing the change, decided to back off. The boys finally took a step back, looking at Rena with a new respect and a little fear. Mira and Tia breathed deeply, relieved. "Are you okay?" Mira asked Tia. Tia nodded. "Thanks to Rena." The boys muttered something and walked away quickly. Rena looked at her friends. "You both okay?" "Yes," Tia said, smiling. Mira nodded. "Thanks, Rena." They continued their walk to the library, the tension fading as the trees swayed gently in the afternoon breeze. That evening, at home, Rena thought about the day. She knew she could not hide her past forever. The strength she had came from years of training and hard work. But here, in college, she wanted a normal life. Still, she understood that some things could not be ignored. The next morning, Coach Harsh called Rena to his office. Coach Harsh was a tall man with kind eyes. He had taught at the college for many years and knew many students well. "Rena," he said gently, "I heard what happened on the court and after." Rena nodded. "Yes, sir." He smiled. "You have a special strength. But you also have a calm mind. That is rare." Rena looked at him. "Thank you, coach." He leaned forward. "If you ever need support, you can come to me. We all need friends we can trust." Rena felt a warmth she had not felt in a long time. "Thank you," she said softly. She left the office thinking about what to do next. She knew her journey would not be easy. But with friends like Mira, Tia, and Coach Harsh, she felt stronger. The campus was not just a place for study. It was a place where she could start again. Where she could learn to trust and be herself. The boys had crossed the line that day, but they had also learned that Rena was not someone to be pushed around. And for the first time in a long time, Rena believed she could be safe. The next day, the campus felt different to Rena. The memory of the previous encounters with the four boys Nomi, Rafi, Juno, and Samir lingered in her mind. She knew that things might not stay calm for long. After morning classes, Rena, Mira, and Tia decided to go to the outdoor basketball court again. Tia wanted to practice her shots, Mira brought some snacks, and Rena took her sketchbook to draw the trees nearby. As they reached the court, they noticed the boys already there, waiting. Nomi smirked when he saw them. Well, look who's back," he said loudly. Rafi laughed, "Didn't expect you girls to come again." Tia stepped forward, her voice steady. This is a public court. We have every right to be here. Juno crossed his arms. Yeah, but you should know your place. Rina's eyes met Nomi's. She felt a quiet but strong energy inside her. She did not want trouble, but she also would not let anyone disrespect her or her friends. Nomi took a step closer. I think you don't understand. You need to leave. Mira, feeling nervous, whispered to Rina, maybe we should just go. Rina shook her head slightly. No. Not this time. Samir stepped forward, blocking their path. We're giving you 10 seconds to leave. That's it? Rina's voice was calm but firm. 10 seconds. That's exactly how much time you have to walk away. After that, things will change. The boys laughed at her words, thinking she was joking. Nomi said, you really think you can scare us with 10 seconds? Rina didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked at her watch. The seconds began to count down quietly. 10. 9. 8. Mira and Tia stood close, watching Rina carefully. Their hearts beat fast. 7. 6. Juno shifted uneasily. Maybe we should listen. 5. 4. The wind moved the leaves around them. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in orange and pink. 3. 2. Nomi suddenly stepped forward, ignoring the warning. 1. Before anyone could react, Rina moved. She acted with calm precision. In one swift movement, she pushed Nomi's hand away and stepped to the side, tripping him gently. He fell to the ground, surprised but not hurt. Rafi lunged at her, but Rina quickly grabbed his arm and twisted it just enough to stop him. He let go and took a step back. Samir tried to grab her wrist, but she caught his hand and held it firmly. Leave, she said quietly. Juno looked at the others, unsure what to do. The boys were shocked by Rina's calm strength. They hadn't expected her to move so quickly and with such control. Without another word, the boys turned and ran away from the court. Mira and Tia let out sighs of relief. Tia smiled, looking at Rina with admiration. That was incredible. How do you move like that? Rina smiled softly but did not explain. Mira said, you saved us without hurting anyone. Rina nodded. I never want to hurt anyone. But I won't let anyone hurt my friends either. The three girls sat down on the bench near the court. The last light of the day shone on their faces. Rina opened her sketchbook and started to draw again. But this time, her hands shook a little. Mira asked gently, Rina, how did you learn to do that? Rina took a deep breath. I was trained. A long time ago. Tia's eyes widened. What kind of training? Rina hesitated, then said quietly, I was an army ranger. The word surprised Mira and Tia. They looked at her with new respect. An army ranger. Mira repeated. Yes, Rina said. I served for 6 years. It was hard, but it taught me how to stay calm and protect others. Tia smiled. No wonder you're so brave. Rina nodded. I left that life behind because I wanted peace. But sometimes, I need to use what I learned. Mira reached out and held Rina's hand. You're not alone anymore. We're here with you. Rina smiled again, feeling a warmth she had not felt in a long time. The sky grew dark, and the stars began to shine. The campus was quiet except for the distant sounds of students walking home. As the girls left the court, they knew things would not be easy. the boys might try to bother them again. But they also knew that together, they were stronger. Rena's secret was out now, and that changed everything. Not just for her, but for everyone around her. After the events at the basketball court, the campus was buzzing with whispers about Rena. Some students admired her courage, while others were curious about the quiet girl who had stood up to the notorious four boys. Mira and Tia noticed a change in Rena. She seemed more confident but also more careful. One bright morning, the three friends met outside the college cafeteria. Mira held 2 cups of coffee, while Tia carried a small bag with some snacks. "Rena, are you ready for the welcome festival next week?" Mira asked, smiling. Rena nodded. "I think so. I want to try new things, meet new people." Tia added, "It will be fun. We'll all be there together." Rena looked forward to that, but deep inside, she felt a little nervous. The festival meant crowds and noise, things she wasn't used to. Still, she wanted to try. As they talked, a voice interrupted them. "Rena." They turned to see Coach Harsh approaching. He was a tall man with a kind face. "Coach," Rena said politely. "I heard what you did at the court," he said with a small smile. "Very impressive." Rena looked down. "Thank you, sir." Coach Harsh looked at the boys' group nearby. "But be careful. Some people don't like to lose control." Rena nodded. "I understand." That afternoon, Rena spent time in the library, reading a book on leadership. She wanted to learn how to be stronger in more ways than just physical. Mira and Tia came to sit with her. "You know," Mira said, "you're becoming someone special here. Not just because you're strong, but because you care." Rena smiled. "I want to be normal. But I also want to protect my friends." Tia laughed softly. "You already do." Suddenly, Rena's phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "Leave the boys alone, or you'll regret it." Rena showed the message to Mira and Tia. "We have to tell someone," Mira said quickly. "No," Rena replied. "This is between me and them. I won't let them scare me." Tia looked worried. "Be careful." The next day, Rena's classes went as usual. But when she left the building, she noticed the 4 boys waiting near the gate. Nomi stepped forward. "You got our message." Rena's heart beat fast, but her voice was calm. "I'm not scared." Juno laughed. "We'll see about that." Rafi looked serious. "We're not just playing games anymore." Samir added, "This is a warning." Rena stood tall. "I won't run away. If you want to settle this, do it properly." The boys looked at each other, surprised by her words. Suddenly, a crowd of students gathered, watching the scene. Mira and Tia rushed over. "Leave her alone," Mira shouted. Coach Harsh arrived just in time. "What is going on here?" The boys stepped back, avoiding the coach's eyes. Coach Harsh looked at Rena. "Are you all right?" Rena nodded. "Yes, sir." He then addressed the boys firmly. "This is a college, not a playground. Show respect or face consequences." The boys grumbled but left quietly. Mira and Tia hugged Rena. "You're amazing," Tia said. Rena smiled. "I'm just tired of fighting." That night, Rena sat by her window, thinking about everything. She realized that standing up was not just about strength but also about courage and heart. She was ready for whatever came next. The days after the confrontation at the college gate were tense but quiet. The four boys Nomi, Rafi, Juno, and Samir kept their distance from Rina, Mira, and Tia. The students who had witnessed the event talked quietly about what had happened, some in admiration, some in disbelief. Rina tried to focus on her studies, but her mind often wandered to the message she had received, the warning to leave the boys alone. She knew they were watching, waiting for the right moment. But she was determined not to show fear. One afternoon, as Rina and her friends sat under a large tree near the campus library, a tall, quiet student approached them. His name was Armin, a senior known for being calm and kind, though not many students knew him well. "Hi," Armin said softly. "I saw what happened with those boys. I just wanted to say, you're really brave." Rina looked up, surprised but pleased. "Thank you." Mira smiled. "We're glad you noticed. They've been causing trouble for a while." Armin nodded. "I've seen it too. I'm sorry you had to deal with that alone." Tia added, "It's good to have more people who stand up." Armin sat down beside them. "If you want, I can help. I don't like bullies either." Rina felt a wave of relief. Having a new ally could make a big difference. "Thank you, Armin," she said sincerely. "We could use the support." The three friends and Armin began to talk more. They shared stories about the campus, their dreams and fears. It was the first time in a while that Rina felt she was not carrying the weight alone. Days passed, and Armin became a steady presence in their group. His calm and thoughtful nature balanced Rina's quiet strength and Mira's cheerfulness. One afternoon, the group was sitting in the cafeteria when Nomi, Rafi, Juno, and Samir walked by. They looked at Armin with surprise and then hesitation. Armin met their gaze without fear. Nomi whispered to the others, "This is different." Rafi frowned. "Maybe we need to rethink." The boys walked away quickly, avoiding any conflict. Rina felt hope growing inside her. Together, they were stronger. The day of the Welcome Festival arrived. The campus was alive with music, laughter, and colorful decorations. Students wore bright clothes and carried balloons. Food stalls lined the walkways, and games were set up for everyone to enjoy. Rina, Mira, Tia, and Armin walked together through the crowd. For the first time in weeks, Rina felt free and happy. They played games, ate sweets, and laughed until their sides hurt. At one point, a group of students invited Rina to join a dance circle. Hesitant at first, she smiled and accepted. As the music played, Rina moved with grace and joy. Her friends cheered her on. Nearby, Nomi and the others watched from a distance. They saw the happiness on Rina's face and something changed inside them. After the festival, as the sun set, Rina, Mira, Tia, and Armin sat on the grassy hill, watching the stars come out. Armin said quietly, "You've done something amazing, Rina. You've shown everyone that strength and kindness can go together." Rina looked at her friends, feeling grateful. Mira smiled. "We're lucky to have you." Tia nodded. "Together, nothing can stop us." Rina took a deep breath and said, "Thank you. For standing with me. For being my friends." The night was peaceful, and for the first time in a long time, Rina felt hopeful about the future. She knew there would still be challenges, but with friends by her side, she could face anything. The weeks after the Welcome Festival passed peacefully. The campus felt lighter, friendlier. The stories about Rina's strength and courage spread, but now, more than ever, she wanted to be known not for fighting but for kindness. Rina, Mira, Tia, and Armin had become inseparable. Their friendship was a quiet shield against the challenges of college life. One afternoon, as they sat in the common room, Armin looked thoughtful. "There's something I want to tell you," he said. Rina raised her eyebrows. "What is it?" Armin hesitated, then smiled. "I'm running for student council president." Mira gasped. "Really? That's great." Tia clapped her hands. "You'd be perfect." Rina smiled warmly. "I'll support you." Armin nodded. "Thanks. But there's one problem." "What's that?" Mira asked. "The four boys," Armin said quietly. "They want to run too." Rina felt her heart beat faster. She knew this could lead to trouble. The boys had been quiet lately, but that could change. "We'll be there for you," Rina said firmly. The days leading up to the student council election were filled with posters, speeches, and promises. The campus buzzed with excitement. Nomi, Rafi, Juno, and Samir tried to spread rumors about Armin, but the students didn't believe them anymore. Rina, Mira, and Tia helped Armin prepare his speech. They worked late into the night, making sure everything was perfect. On election day, the auditorium was packed. Students waited eagerly to hear the candidates. Armin stepped up to the microphone, calm and confident. He spoke about fairness, kindness, and working together. Rina watched from the front row, her heart swelling with pride. When Armin finished, the applause was loud and true. The boys tried to respond, but their words sounded empty. Later, the results were announced. Armin won by a large margin. The crowd cheered. Nomi and his friends left quietly, defeated. Rina felt a wave of relief. The campus was changing. More than that, Rina was changing. She no longer felt the need to hide her past or prove herself through strength alone. With friends beside her, she knew she could face anything. Later that evening, the four friends gathered under the stars. Mira smiled. "We did it." Tia laughed. "Together." Armin looked at Rina. "Thank you for standing with me." Rina smiled softly. "Thank you for giving us hope." The future was bright. And no matter what came next, they would stand together.